how do you improve your communication skills like on your teams? I know a lot of right now, like the recs for hiring designers, hiring product people is strong collaboration and strong communication skills, right? But I think you had told us maybe yesterday about something that you did like to improve your communication skills. So could you talk about that?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, we say it so often that you have to have strong communication skills and collaboration skills. That's can almost kind of become like meaningless because we say it so much. But I think the story I was sharing with you all yesterday, I guess, was no concept of time. Proud dad of 2 small children, no concept of time. But I was at Google and I was working on Google News, and my main 2 stakeholders was the first PM of Google News and the person that created Google News. So the first PM of Google News was Marissa Mayer, and brilliant, absolutely brilliant woman, product thinker, like incredible, learned so much from her. Also like employee 14 at the company. That's all, right? And the person that created Google News was maybe like employee 60 and like opened up the entire like office in India. Yeah. So very, very accomplished, smart people had a tremendous amount. I have a tremendous amount of respect for. But I'm working on Google News, and I'm the designer. And every time I would try to pitch some new design that we were working on, I felt incredibly ineffective. Like it was one of the lowest points of my career, and it shook me. It like shook me very hard because it was probably my second year at Google. So I had just moved to a new city that I'd only spent in a weekend and before moving up. In some ways, I felt like I was more accomplished than my wildest dreams. You know, like my mom is an educator, and like my second job out of college, I'm making more money than she ever did in her career, right? And so it's like, so I have these signals of like, you're successful, you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere, right? And another time, like I'm trying to communicate designs, and design is all about communication, and I am just failing miserably to people I have a tremendous amount of respect for. So like this is like the mind fuck of mind fucks for me. There's no way I can feel good about myself, and I'm just like confused. And I sought out coaching and therapy, and that is when I learned for the first time that you really have to understand who you're talking to be effective. I'll take that a step further. You have to speak in a way that your audience can hear you. Mm-hmm. And I had not yet worked with the kind of engineering and product leader that Marissa and Krishna are. And so I was looking in my toolbox, you know, and I was picking up my tools that I'd been successful with all along, and I'm trying to use them, and all the effort in the world, terrible tactics, right? Ineffective, because they couldn't hear me. And so since then I've been trying, I really try to practice like a few things. One is trying to understand the way to like meet someone at their level, right? Asking questions about them, listening to them, being an active listener is like really helps with that. Also like approaching, this is like a little cynical, but like take it conceptually for what I'm saying here. Approach every interaction or conversation as a negotiation, right? That's going to push you to understand what someone else's goals are. And the more that you can show how someone else's goals are the same as your goals, right? You're going to hear that. So, you know, I think that, so Paolo, what was the mistake I was making? I was leaning too much of why I thought something was important, maybe, or why this design was right, right? But it wasn't meeting their needs. And I wasn't trying to figure out what their needs were. And I wasn't talking of, like, I would say, like, maybe I might talk about design as being aesthetically beneficial, right? Or one of the big goals of Google News was information density. So, you know, let's say I wasn't optimizing for that. right? Or the way I would talk about maybe the user experience, like it was completely separate from how they had thought about it. Again, it's not right or wrong. It's, well, clearly there's going to be friction here, right? And especially as you deal with more and more senior folks in your career, you get less and less time with them. Like individual, like they're smaller chunks, I guess is what I'm saying. And so you have to, like, the more you can be concise and tight on what you're talking about, the more beneficial it is. So, so I tend to think of communication as effort-related work. That anyone can be good at it. You just have to put in time and have curiosity and want to kind of get better at it. That might not be a great answer, but that's
really is.
How I think about it.
It's such a thing, isn't it? I feel like it gets glazed over a little bit too much when we think about skills in our profession as a designer or as a pro. You think, okay, I've got 1 hour to improve my skills. How will I improve? I know I'll work on some new Figma plugins and I'll do some work on this chart. I don't know. The last thing you often think about is, I'll do some work on my communication skills and how to be a better active listener. Or, it feels so low in the ranking of skills to improve. Yet, from what you're saying, it's like it almost needs to be number one, like for everyone.
I mean, I was coaching someone the other day, and they were talking about how they were having some friction. We all have friction, right? We all have friction with maybe different people, and they were just like, and it bummed them out because they clearly respect this person, right? And they feel like maybe on some level that they're not like showing up, right? And I was like, well, how do you know you're not like showing up, right?
Right.
Sometimes we can get in our heads and we think we know what's happening and we don't know what's happening. Right? And they were like, well, I've kind of gotten some feedback from my boss or from this other person, kind of related to it. And they're like, is so-and-so, like, they ask if I'm like angry or like if I'm upset or if I'm like frustrated or whatever. And I was like, what's like interesting to me about that is they're not talking about your content.
Right. It's a delivery.
They're not talking about your ideas.
Yeah.
They might love your ideas. Or maybe they don't know what your ideas are. But like it's for some we're still like unpacking this, but it's like, to me, that's like it happens all the time where it's like your ideas won't even get to the point where they might even win on merit if there's tension,
delivery,
and collaboration and delivery.
Yeah. Such a good point. Yeah. And this is a whole tangent. I see it all the time with like even just cultural differences. I'm Australian. Sure. I've had it recently with a couple of things where companies have said, we can't tell if that designer's really interested in us, when they interview with us. And I'm like, they're Australian, mate. They're not, they're not jumping out of their skin about anything. Like they're cool, calm, they're just chill. Don't take it. And then it's like grabbing an email from them where it says, hey, I'm really excited about this opportunity. Thanks so much for setting me up with them. I'm like, it's just communication style. It's okay. Maybe it got lost in translation, but that's a tangent on the culture. But it just is that point of delivery and of communication. And what I think, I guess, as part of your coaching too, you're likely telling people how to communicate better, but also how can we be better listeners and not make that assumption. I don't think they're interested in us, so therefore let's not even do the next interview. It's like, whoa. Like, that person has all the skills you want and you love it, you're in this right direction. And because you've made that assumption based on a delivery difference there, it's like
as humans, we love to make things like really complicated, or like we're really good at it. Like, we're really good at making things complicated. And we will like, like the what is it? Is the movie's like A Beautiful Mind, right? Where he has like the strings. We will do that.
Yeah.
Versus
Ask
direct questions.
Yeah. Are you interested in us?
I know.
Do you
Well,
like us?
Totally. Well, I love the story that you told us, Frank, yesterday when we all had a little pregame meet where you said you were racking your brains, like, how do I communicate with my team or these people that I have to collaborate with, and maybe I'm having a tough time doing it. And you're doing the John Nash thing, and you're trying to figure out every which way. And then finally, it's like, I think it was your coach or something said,
my coach.
Why don't you just ask them how they want to communicate? It's like, go straight to the horse's mouth.
Yeah, I was leading a team. At the moment, it was the largest team I'd ever led before. And I had imposter syndrome. I still have imposter syndrome about different things, right? And I felt very stretched. I remember this. It's like every time I'd show up into a meeting, I would have left another meeting, and I had enough. This is when I went to the office, but just enough time to get from one room to the next room. And I didn't feel like what I'd want to do is I'd want to be prepare for that meeting. I want to collect my thoughts. Maybe if we were talking about designs, I'd want to review the designs ahead of time, right? Instead of having gut reactions in the moment, because I remember when people gave me gut reactions in the moment. So it's like and I felt like the team wasn't getting their best from me. And I could make excuses on why, that I was really stretched thin. I was taking on some other large parts of the organization I'd never done before. I'm trying to find my way. And I felt so bad. And my coach was like, well, like, how do you know you're telling me you're failing, but how do you know you're failing? And I was like, well, because I'm not prepared for these meetings. And he's like, but like, what, like, does your team need you to be more prepared? Like, are you blocking them? Are they, is their work being impacted, and he's like, how would you know? And I was like, well, I guess let me think about this. Let me look at the notes from the last 3 sessions, and I can let me review our success metrics over the last 6 months. And he's like, what else could you do, idiot? Like, and he's like, you could ask them. What is it? Hey, I'm really stretched thin right now. I'm trying to take on this other work. Like, what do you need from me over the next 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you getting what you need from me right now? Do you need me to lean in more? Do you need me to lean out? Like, these are conversation starters. I want to be very clear. This doesn't fix. I still had work to do, right?
Yeah.
But
where it starts.
But now you had guided direction.
Right. Where to put the efforts.
It helped me focus on where I needed to spend some brain cycles, and where maybe I didn't have to at all. And that could come off my plate so I could spend more time in other areas. Because the moment I felt like I was doing failure in every area. Right?
Yeah.
So it helped to focus me.
Yeah.
Assumptions, I don't know. That's like
coming back to that.
That should be our code word for